Guys, hello and welcome to another day in paradise. And welcome to another live session. Hopefully this one will be without fault because I took a lot of time to prepare for this live. So it's a little better. Hopefully you'll get a little better quality coming through. No one's here and I'm happy about that simply because I am very early. That's something I'm not normally, to be honest with you. Let me have a little drink. It's Saturday night. Okay. Fantastic. So guys, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me. I'm just going to wait, actually. I'm going to wait for another 5 minutes until everybody's here because I am early. I am very early. I'm not used to being early, but I am early. I know, Mr. Uganda. Hello there, by the way, Mr. Uganda. Do you have Bitcoin? No, I don't, Dominic Laura, but hello anyway. Hello, just in time. Hello, and welcome to the family. Nice to see you here. Nice to see you. Yeah, I just figured, do you know what? I only came up with the idea for this live literally 10 minutes ago because it was just something bugging me. It's been bugging me for a while, this subject, but I never really got around to making a video about it. I didn't really want to make a video about it, if I need to be honest with you. Hello, Nicole. How you doing? How you doing? Yeah, I didn't want to make a video about this specifically, but I did want to do a live. Just to see if you guys had a similar experience with having any allies of any other, any allies of any other race, because I think they clearly exist in my point of view. They clearly exist, but you know, it'll just be interesting to see whether you guys had any experiences yourself. It's a funny one because even though they exist, you have to be really, really careful. Really, really careful, right? The ones who I would say, let's have a look. 3 minutes. I'm gonna wait 3 minutes until everybody's in. My Italian sugar daddy put me through college. Does that? No, it does not count, Nicole. Unfortunately, money doesn't count. You know, because if your Italian sugar daddy had like, let's say if he had, 100 million in his bank account and he's just put you through college, it doesn't mean anything, right? Money cannot show you loyalty. Money cannot buy loyalty either. And yeah, so it sure is, it cannot actually, you can't tell whether somebody is an ally to you or not because he's giving you money. And that's my point of view anyway, but I know you're joking about that. I see you laughing. Yeah. Let's have a look. Audrey Kemi. Yes, I did actually. Yes, I did. And I never started anything. Audrey, he started it. I never ever lifted a finger against that man, and he felt like that I could have been a pushover. So he's going to find out the hard way that I'm not. What can I say? Anyway, we're not talking about him tonight anyway. Money is used as leverage. There you go, just in time. It can be. No, I haven't, Audrey. I haven't. I have not gone too far. What trait? Okay, what traits in a white person? Well, I'll say what traits in any person, right? I think any person that owns up to their own, any person who's loyal to you, that's one. Okay, one person that has honor, right, towards you, right, and obviously someone who has a strong allegiance to you. Those three things you need, right, in order to have somebody be an ally. Somebody who, even if you are not with them, they will support you even when you are not there. They'll support you if somebody's talking bad about you. You know, they will be on those people no matter what. That is an ally. That's a true ally, right? But in terms of when it comes to race, the traits a white person needs to have, he needs to be a person that owns up and realizes that they have certain privileges in the country that they're in. Okay, so realize that they have those certain privileges and realize that they are racist. I know this one sounds weird, but I think that people who realize the world in the West is geared around them and not around anybody else, right? It's geared around them for them to be successful, right? Because there's all different types of racism, right? Okay, so when I say racism, it could be structural racism, it could be political, it could be social, it could be anything, right? There are many different types of racism. So knowing that you have, you know, you have a person who realizes this and says, yeah, I know this is happening. I know this is happening. I don't think it's fair. I try to live my life in a way in which, you know, I am conscious about, you know, about the privileges that have been given to me in my country. And I say in my country because white people don't have privileges everywhere. Okay. Thank you, Lamin Baku. Yeah. So, and welcome, by the way. So, yeah, white people don't have privileges all over the world. And you should know that. There's a guy that I follow, and I think I've told you guys before, there's a guy that I follow, he's a South African white guy, and he went to live in China. And he had an absolute torrid time there, right? He had a torrid time there. He had a really, really bad time. But he met his wife there, beautiful Chinese lady. Okay, met his wife there. But boy, and he met his wife there because if she was a divorcee in China, and when you're a divorcee in China, you're in the world of hurt. Nobody wants to marry you after you've divorced in China. You're a woman, okay? So he met his divorced wife there. Happy, but people constantly calling him names. They used to call him the Chinese version of, I don't know, they used to say it in Mandarin, but they used to call him loser at home. That's what they call white men who marry or go with Asian women. Loser at home. And that was his name, basically. So you don't always, so that's one thing. White people don't always have privileges everywhere. However, in the West, where we live, you know, in the diaspora, the former colonies, of course they do. The world is geared in their societies is geared for them to be successful. So those, I think, a person who is knowledgeable of this, knows this, right, and is open about it, talks about it, and embraces it. A person who embraces it, I think that those people, of course, are the right types of people. They have the right stuff. Okay. There are many people who I would not say are, okay. I'm not sure. I mean, especially colleagues at work. I mean, you won't find any. Speaking from my own experience, I don't think it's easy to find allies, people who side with you in an office, say in an office environment. It's the worst place for it, I think, because you don't get the best of the best in the office environments, you know, and everyone's clambering to, you know, everyone's a status-seeking social climber in these offices in the West, aren't they? They're all looking to make it to the top. So I'm just going to read some of your messages. Dominic Laura, after slavery and discrimination, it's near impossible to call them allies. Yeah, of course. And you know what? I mean, that moves us swiftly onto the person in the picture in the thumbnail, right? You guys didn't get who he was. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's it. Its name was... I'm trying to think of his name. His name is on my iPad, and I'm using the iPad to talk to you guys. But this guy was a bomber. He bombed a whites-only train station in South Africa in the mid-1960s for the ANC party. Okay. Clearly, he's a white ally. I mean, somebody who, and they caught him. Okay, they caught him doing this. Does anybody know his name? I think his name's John Harris. I think his name is something John Harris. They caught him and they hanged him. So he sacrificed his life for the cause, for the struggle in South Africa. And I think, hello Trey, by the way, hello. I think somebody who does something like that clearly is a white ally. So they clearly exist. Let's have a look. SL arriving. The only reason there's white privilege is because low self-esteem ends. Give it to them. Ignorant of who they really are. Thank you. SL arriving. I could not have put that better myself. Okay, so what he is saying? Yeah, John Brown. Yeah, that's right, Nicole. That's right. And I'm just going to go back to SL arriving. Frederick John Harris. Thank you, Lady Diva. Frederick John Harris was the guy's name who blew up the train station in South Africa. The whites only platform he went for. Can you imagine that? They had whites only platform. Anyway, so he left his suitcase with the bomb inside it. I think one person died, 23 injuries. So yeah, it wasn't devastating, but yeah, I don't remember. I know that many other bombs were placed by the ANC party on the orders of Nelson Mandela, rest in peace. So yeah, hello Ebony Repat, hello. So anyway, I want to go back to what SL arriving just said in the comment section. The only reason there is white privilege is because of low self-esteem, and I think that is right. I think he's absolutely right. I grew up not knowing that white privilege existed. I always believed that I was superior to all other races. That as a kid, and I'm talking 5, 6, 7 years old, I was like, why am I able to do everything better than everybody else? And I was asking myself that question, you know? So I always knew I was different. And people were always telling, oh yeah, you're not different. You're the same. You're just like different color of skin. Like, you know, no. I grew up later on, realized that no, that's not the case. There's a significant difference in our, don't quite know how to put it, but in the way we see the world. And I think some some ethnicities, some people are people who are just driven to destroy other people, mentioning no names. So yeah, I really believe that like white privilege is something that only exists because you make it exist. I really do. And I'm not one of those people that's like, you know, lives in a bubble, you know. I am not one of those people. You ask any professional basketball player, any black professional basketball player in America, whether white privilege exists. For them now, it doesn't exist because those people live in a bubble. They live in a different world to all us, to everybody else. So even though they may have grown up maybe in a privileged household, maybe on the wrong side of the tracks, right? If they grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, then they will know that white privilege sort of exists in their nation. But if they've grown up with money, especially in America, if you grow up with money, you know, you have this, it's almost like a tool that people can use to shield yourself from racism. Yeah. So anyway, I'm just going to read a few more of these. Naturally organic. Yeah, naturally organic. Yeah. Thank you. I'm going to read your message. John Brown and his sons gave their lives for black people and killed lots. Exactly. You know, that's great. Do you know what? Let's talk. I don't want to talk about the Nazis. Oh, man, I don't even want to talk about them. But I spoke about them before, right? About how many of them were Little Wayne. Sorry. Anyway, and many Afro-Caribbeans from the UK who were fighting in the war, in World War II, how a lot of them defected and fought for the Nazis, especially in Holland, in the small Dutch islands off the coast of Holland. A lot of those were populated by Afro-Caribbeans who were fighting on the side of the Germans in World War II. So they're not quite allies, but those were the ones who said, hey, listen, you've got a bunch of white people in England, right? They treat you like dirt, right? I'm going to give you some of the most sophisticated weapons on the planet. You need to kill as many of them as you can. Here you go. We'll even pay you. What do you think they did? What do you think they did? A lot of those Caribbean, there were Indians as well there as well, right? There were Indians as well. So there's Caribbeans and Indians. Those people who were from the former British colonies in the Caribbean and in Asia were, went to fight for the Nazis, right? And it's logical that that happened, right? Those people had their heads screwed on. Why would you want to fight for people who literally slaughtered your own kind in your own country? Why would you want to fight for them? It's not like, okay, the Germans did the same thing too, didn't they? In Namibia, they did the same thing too. But of course, they didn't have the internet. People didn't run around teaching about Pan-Africanism and about the Berlin Conference and how the Europeans were when they came into Africa and started maiming everybody. Gee, it's just disgusting. So, but I don't want to get off topic, but all because these Germans gave these weapons and befriended West Indian immigrants and Asian immigrants as well from the UK and told them to fight for them. That doesn't make them allies. They just used us. They used us, essentially, to help fight their war, right? So there will be a caveat to every situation. You can always say, okay, but what's going on here? Is this person really an ally of mine? And most people, the vast majority of people, right, will not be allies because they are extremely rare and very, very rare. So I'm just going to go through your messages again. Alu TV, Falcon Black. Those with least resources must be fierce to take others. Yeah. Yeah, that is true, right? And that's what they did. That's what they did. And they're living off it now. They're living quite grand lives. Yeah. Shazza G. Sports people and actors are just white people entertainers. Yeah, to a certain degree, you know. And no sportsman is going to agree with that. They'll never agree with that. And the money that they're getting thrown at them is, in comparison to what the owners get, is chump change, really. So you see these guys that are getting $100 million deals in the NBA. It's chump change. It's like, you know, and they have to be careful with it, right? $100 million. You sign a $100 million deal in the NBA. 50 million is gone in taxes. You might be able to recuperate 15 million from that, but maximum you'll get is 65 million from 100. And then you get the big house, you get the big cars, you buy the jewelry, and you just pee your money away. So yeah, it's being a sportsman. It has its privileges. You do live in this bubble, but unless you are careful, most of them will realize what white privilege is later on in their lives after they've retired from their sports or whatever. Mola, you're already compromised to talk about this topic. Compromised. Well, how am I compromised? How am I compromised? I know what you're going to say. Oh my God, that's weak. Come on, you can do better than that. Hey, James in chat. Hello. Just a petty mess. Prince EA's poem label sums it up for me. Have a look. Prince. Okay, I'm going to take a look. Sorry. Cameroon and Namibians too. Yep, that's very true with the Germans. Shazza G. I'm sure many of them are allies, but who's got time to figure out who's who? There you go. They all get painted with the same double brush as far. It's a much easier way to live life, isn't it, Shazza G? Much easier way to live life and just say, do you know what? They're just all like that. Yeah, you know, if you live your life like that, you can live a much more simpler life. But yeah, so I can understand with that, Shazza G. Ebony Repat, same scenario here in the States. We continue to fight their international wars despite the slaughter of us domestically. I cannot understand why you would join the American Armed Forces, other than the fact that you get free healthcare and you get all those types of privileges, right? Tax breaks and all that sort of thing. I just cannot understand why you would, though. Free education as well. Damn. Do you know what else? I don't understand it when you see these like athletes at the Olympics and they're like wrapping themselves in the Star Spangled Banner. Like, what's all that about? I mean, we do it in England too. You see that our Olympians, you know what I mean? They're wrapping themselves in the Union Jack, we call it, our flag. I cannot get it. I don't get it. Why would you share some pride of wearing that after that, what they've done to your forefathers? Oh well. Ignorance is bliss sometimes. But why would they be? We are all programmed to protect our own. Is that true? I don't know whether that's true. You ask any Chinese man whether they would go out and protect their own, they'd be like, nah, man. They'd protect their own, their family. Perhaps their family they would protect, but no. They don't in general care about anybody else other than themselves, you know? Have a look. I wonder how much the players in the African NBA will be making. Do you know anything about this new league? I never heard of it, Nicole. I've never heard of it. I'm now going to do some research on that because that just sounds incredible if they're starting something up like that. But the fact that it's called NBA, an African, I mean, Africa is a continent, and N in NBA stands for national. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Anyway, and if it's going to be owned and ran by the same people who are running and owning the NBA over in the United States, who is, yes, the Jewish people. So if it's going to be run by them, it's still kind of a waste. Okay. I don't see allies just in time. I see opportunists. Yeah. And a lot of them will be just opportunists. This is what I was saying earlier. A lot of those people will literally be people that are there to simply to use you. Okay. Hannah, Darina, I'm in Ireland and they're crazy here. Hannah, tell me which part of Ireland you're in. I used to work in Ireland. I used to work in Northern Ireland and I used to work in Dublin. I used to work in Portadown and in Derry in Northern Ireland, and I used to work in Dublin. Let me know which part of Ireland you're in. Greetings and apologetic. Wanted to say hi. Hello, Kindred. How are you? Lamin Baku. I believe that racism is spawned from penis envy. Well, that could be true. That I think part of what you're saying there is could be true. A lot of men have a problem with the physical attributes of black men. People always feared me when I was growing older. When I was young, they feared me. They feared me. Why? I don't know, but you know, they did. But we're talking about central England. I lived in a place that was on the cusp of a massive council estate, which you would call the projects. In England, of course, the council estates, it would be rare to find a black person in a council estate. Okay, most black people don't live in like the projects in England. It's white people, right? Poor white people that live in the projects in England. And black people live in private houses. This was back in the day. Things have slightly changed now. A lot more black people have moved into public owned housing, council housing. So it's changed a bit, and because there is a lot more of a cosmopolitan feel about these council estates now. So you got people from Poland, you got people from all over the world who are living in these projects now. Yeah, it's a different kettle of fish now, but yeah. Let's have a look. I believe that racism. Let's have a look. Heard that one. Yeah, I know, Nick. I just did it before. I was like, boom! I just hit my mic and I realized I did it. So sorry about that. Yes, please, Nicole. Yeah, it would be really interesting. Please, you got my email address. It's tontalks@gmail.com. tontalks@gmail.com. Not com. Okay, yes, please. So that's what I'm going to do. Right, I'm going I think I'm going to have to take my mic off this so I can listen to you guys. So my voice is not going to be as loud as it is now because I have to pull this thing out in order to use the speaker, I think. Okay, but I'm going to start to okay, I'm going to start to put the link in. I don't have a ton of time. Okay, so where are we now? We've been live for half an hour. So we've got another 35 minutes. I didn't want to spend longer than an hour on, but it'd be good to hear your thoughts, guys. Okay. 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 So I have to speak a little louder now because I have to take this mic off. Okay. Many joined the US military for many personal reasons. My cousin joined to become a pilot and then was out after 8-year tuition. Wow, that is really good. That is really, really good. I wonder what hardware is flying now. Airliners, cargo jets. That would be pretty cool to know. Chavs, yes, Mr. Uganda. The Chavs, and they are underprivileged in the UK, of course, because they went through a period in the 90s in the UK, positive reinforcement, where it was easy for you to get a job in government agencies, in the police force, firemen. If you were black or if you were Asian in the 1990s and you went into anywhere and you wanted to be a policeman, they'd take you straight away, not without a question about it. It was part of the Labour government's move to try and crack down on structural racism within the government. Let's have a look. I guess that means you didn't apologize for asking the man's wife to contact. Why would I apologize for that? Why would I apologize for that? Why? Anyway, it's all a game, my brother. We can use them too. Yeah, I suppose so, Roger Newman. I won't get into it much details, but yeah. That's true. It is their platform. It is their platform. Thank you, Lady Diva. Thanks for letting me know. You lived near Edgbaston. So did I. I know. Edgbaston is crazy, you know, because there's two parts of Edgbaston. There's two parts of Edgbaston, isn't there? There's the nice part. All of them are Victorian houses, by the way. Lots of Victorian houses in Edgbaston. But you got the nice part of Edgbaston, and then you got the terrible part near Hagley Road, on the other side of Hagley Road. Still Edgbaston, but just filled with prostitutes and like cheap rental housing, and mostly Asian people that own the houses there. But the houses are starting to get bought out now by people. I want to get one there, to be honest with you. I'd love to get a house around that side of Edgbaston now, because you can afford one. You can afford one of those houses there now, but in 10 years' time, you won't be able to afford one. Okay. They have always used us. Yes, they have. It's the norm. Do you know Dan Evans? I don't know Dan Evans. Who is he? Who is he? Where's he from? Also, being in the military in the United States, you automatically qualify and get in a home regardless of credit. Oh, wow, I did not know that. I did not know that. I have lived in London. Yes, I've lived in London. I didn't spend a lot of time there. I worked there as well. I don't like the place. There's only a few things that I like about London, okay? One thing is that it's mostly cosmopolitan. So most of the people there, most of the people that live in London are not white. I don't know if you know that, but the vast majority, no, not the vast majority, I think it's 60%, so it's a little over half, are not white. And then, of those white people that live in London, the vast majority are not from London. Okay? So it's an extremely cosmopolitan city. And it's not cosmopolitan like New York. You know, cosmopolitan, you could go to New York, people generally sort of work with one another, but they don't sort of hang out with each other. They're not really good friends with each other. It's almost as if they, in New York, because I lived there for a number of years as well. In New York, the people, it's almost as if the races tolerate each other. There's no real, you know what I mean? But in London, it's different. Because most of the people that are living there as well, they're quite young. They're the new sort of, you know, they're young. They're new to the city. They're new to the big city. They love it. They like it the way it is now. Cosmopolitan. People from all over the world. People come in and come out, filled with Russian billionaires. They love that. I agree with you, Mr. Uganda. Avoid London at all costs. There are so many better cities. No, actually, no, that's not the lie. That's a lie. There aren't that many better cities. London, for me, is one of the best cities in the world. It's just expensive. That's all. New York is Rome. I don't understand that just in time. In London, people mix. Yeah, exactly. They do. Nicole, I'm gonna have you join in because I don't think I've ever seen you on the live stream. I'm gonna add you now. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Hello,
Hi.
Nicole. How
Can
you
you hear me?
doing? I can hear you loud and clear. How are you?
I'm well. Well, I'm just lounging. It's a nice sunny day here in New York City, and I
Oh,
want to do absolutely nothing but relax and watch YouTube videos. But I think you have a wonderful question, and the question as, do we have white allies?
yeah.
But
I mean,
the thing that comes to my mind is, why do we need allies? Why would we need allies? This is the question.
yeah. I mean, I'm going to answer that question for you, right? I think in most, if because a lot of black people say that we're in a war, we're in a struggle, we're in a war, right? Name me which war in the past, real war, where you had one person who had no allies, one entity, one country that just said, we don't need anyone. We're just doing it alone.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't, I don't think there are any. There aren't. There are always people, there are always other entities that have their own reasons for being your ally. You understand? When it comes to war. So this is what I'm saying. You will get white allies. Some of them, not all of them, will be. Oh, okay. Then I admit to, you know, being a racist, or you know, I admit to understanding that me being a part of the color of my skin will give me certain privileges that you won't have. So I'm part of this machine. You know, not everybody is going to be like that. Some of our allies are just going to be with us because, you know, if they are non-black, they are with us for one reason or another. Perhaps because their children are half black, because they've got black family members, but they are not black themselves. You know, there are going to be reasons why some of us we're going to have allies with us. But you said why? I just think.
Yeah, the reason is, like, why would we need allies? And what, for instance, race wars. We need allies within the race that's attacking us, or allies from other people. So, for instance, there's a war between blacks and whites worldwide. Would we go to Pakistan for allies? Would we go to China for allies? Like, what, in what sense? And also, another thing is history. I'm very, not very, but my mother is Native American and Mexican. have a Mexican heritage from the States, because what a lot of people don't take into consideration is that the United States is Mexico, especially Southwest United States. So my family is from Texas, which is Mexico. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't put those connections together. So, you know,
Mhm.
my people are from here. Um, and when you
Yeah.
say Mexico, people think that they escaped from Mexico
Yeah.
across the border, and that's not the case.
No,
But
the
anyway,
yeah. Sorry.
so in the sense when African Americans, when the enslaved escaped from their plantation, from their white masters' plantations, their allies were Native Americans. And the Native
Ah.
Americans, yeah, if you study the history, the Seminoles in Florida, a lot of them are Black now. Even on the reservations here in America, the Indians look like, you know, the Native Americans who live
Mm.
on those reservations look just like me,
Ah.
because
I
we
did.
all, you know, we became allies with the natives, and they
Ah.
helped us. They
I,
sheltered us when we were, you know, trying to escape for freedom. But anyway, that's a little history. But now, I
no.
mean, it just, the ally thing makes me think about, we don't necessarily have to have whites as allies. We can have other people as allies as well.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you actually. Um, in that I'm not sure whether we need them. I think the question was, do we need white allies? And um, I don't think we need them, but I think it would make things much, much easier if we had them. Because, I mean, like you're saying, you know, if there was a race war between black people and white people, for instance, and,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, if we had people that could give us intel, people that could let us know how things are going to happen, what they are planning, that type of thing.
Oops, sorry.
It's okay. If we had people that could tell us this, who could easily garnish that type of information and give us information that could better our cause and protect us better, those are not going to be people that are going to look like us. You understand? And I can almost, this is the sad thing, I can almost guarantee you that on the white side, they would have black people
I
working.
was just thinking
Yeah,
that. Yes. Yes.
guaranteed.
And I think about the people who murdered, like the person who murdered Malcolm X, you know, that was a Black person. He was an ally
Exactly.
for the FBI, for the, you know, the CIA and all the, you know. So anyway, yeah. It's,
Exactly.
you're
Exactly.
absolutely right. Now that you put it in that sense, we do
Yeah,
need to have some white allies, because they
because
do
they're gonna
it.
have it.
They do it
Yeah,
to us.
there you go. And do you know how many times I've read the stories? You know, I'm of Caribbean origin, Caribbean. I'm from my parents are from Jamaica, and how many times I've read books about these insurrections, these slave revolts, and everything, and they were always there was always some black person, one of the slaves that went to the masters and said, "Oh, do you know what's happening?"
Mm-hmm.
Always in Jamaica, that's how the slave masters knew what was getting planned before most of those revolts happened. It was all There was always somebody telling on them. It was so scary. It always happened, like in all these revolts that I'm watching. So it 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 would
Yeah.
just make things so much easier if we did have those types of allies to say that, oh, do you know what, we don't need them, it's just going to, it's not a strategic good thing to do, it's not strategically good, it's I don't know, it's planning to fail.
Exactly. Okay, now I
Planning
get it.
to fail.
Thank you.
Well, can I just ask you a question?
Yes,
I mean, what borough of New York do you live in?
I'm in Harlem.
Okay, okay, and has that been gentrified yet?
Yes.
uh
You have all, yeah. I mean, I go to the train, the subway platform in the morning, and you know, you think one, when you think of 125th Street here in Harlem, you
mhm.
think Apollo, you think, the whole Renaissance movement or whatever. No, there's like, I go downstairs and the whole platform is white. White people going to work in the morning, it's like, and I may see a couple of black people, but yes, it's very
Wow,
gentrified. It's
that's
nothing like,
crazy.
what people
But it
expect
used
it
to
to be.
be. That
Not at
is
all.
that is crazy. I bet you the rent stinks there as well. The rent's gone up because I remember the days when it was just actually when I was there in the 90s, Harlem was mostly Latino. There were lots of black people there too, but it was
Hmm.
mainly Latino in the mid 90s. So it's a shame. It's sort of taken away the flavor out of it. I shouldn't even say.
Exactly.
But I don't know. Would you ever consider? I mean, are you going to stay there in Harlem? Is that
Well, I'm
your?
moving to Tanzania in March, and I will be, because I do sports reporting. That's why I sent you that message earlier, but
Ah,
I'll be traveling and covering a lot of sports there, and showcasing it here in the States on my
oh,
network.
oh, that's
So
brilliant, brilliant. You're gonna have to tell us the name if you. Yeah, you have to email me that.
yes, I will.
Email
I have to get
information.
there first in March, and then I start filming.
Okay, that would be very interesting. Definitely. Oh man, African MBA. What's
Yes.
your thought? What's your thoughts on that, real quickly? I didn't want
Well,
to come.
I was contacted by the CFO of the company, who is they were supposed to launch in 2020. Unfortunately, COVID happened. So they want to launch in a few months,
Mhm.
and they just want some coverage.
Ah,
But from there's more to it. I just can't
yeah, yeah, yeah,
get
yeah,
into it on this platform, but I could send you some some
yeah,
info.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's
Do you know?
exciting, and yes, there are, like you said before, there are some Americans involved, and as far as I know, they are former NBA players.
Oh, yeah, it sounds interesting. I'm not sure if they'll be able to attract the type of players that you have in Europe now as well, and then because Europe is places
Right.
like Greece and Italy and Turkey. These places are like big basketball countries where,
Yes, they're huge.
my goodness, Turkey in Greece, it's the number one sport. A lot of people think
Hmm.
Greece, other things, but in Greece, basketball is the number one sport. They are crazy for it there. So yeah, it would be interesting to see how it develops in Africa. Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on you, Nicole.
Okay. Thank you for all the work that you've done. I've learned a lot.
Blessings. Thank you,
All right.
Nicole. Thank
Take
you.
care.
You too, and I'll speak to you later. Oh, it's good to speak to her. It's good to speak to her. And I've got with us now Mr. Reese. I can't see your whole name. Can you, you're off mute. Perfect. How are you?
Doing well. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Life is great. Life is great. We're doing some
Mm.
good things.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Are you from the States? Can I ask?
yes, I am. I'm from the States, but I internationally traveled when I was 19 for 4 years overseas. Lived in Romania, France, England, stayed in Surrey for a while near the golf course,
Oh wow.
uh, and then came back to America. A little bit of stat on me. I'm originally from the hood and
Mhm.
remixed my life, and now I work in medical finance.
Wow. Wow. Big things.
Uh, yeah. Unfortunately, when I try to have these higher level conversations in an effort to bring us
Mhm.
together in understanding because I'm such a unicorn in everything that I do. And,
Mhm.
but you tend to find people who hate evidence and details and specificity. They like speeches, it's very unfortunate.
They like having their emotions evoked, and they like that
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
But they don't like they don't like the reality that when
Documentation.
yes, yes. I mean, do you have white allies yourself? Do you think do you believe that they exist? And have you had it? What kind of experience have you had? If you
Here's
have,
the unfortunate thing. Here's the unfortunate thing. And shout out to one person in the chat room who says I sound obnoxious. Yeah, I mean when you got a lot of information in your head, you do come across sounding arrogant. So yeah, you're right, Mr. Uganda. Here's what I kind of understood when I lived in Romania. I understood racism very well. So everybody is monolithic, even though they tell Black people not to be. And Black people will say things like, well, we should not think alike. But when you look in the dictionary, think alike is not the definition of monolithic. Monolithic is system or organization.
mm-hmm.
So living in Russia, here's something you'll find. You'll find the darker skinned Romanians. You'll find the Slavics, which are the original Rus Vikings. They're the Russians. And then you'll find the light skinned people or the lighter whites, which is the Ukrainians. They treat the Ukrainians like Mexicans. They treat the they treat the Ukrainians like dark skinned Black people.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so I always explain racism in this form, and I also use Welsh as a form of explaining it, but I'll get to that in a second because I'm quite sure you can identify with that. But the darker skinned Romanians are more respected by the Slavics. Picture that. It's the reverse of America. The darker skinned Romanians are like gypsies. They have the olive skin, kind of similar to Italians. They're from a Spanish type of environment. Most of the people have a Spanish flair there.
Mm-hmm.
The lower level Ukrainians, they like Black people, which is why, hey, most of the time when they leave Ukraine, they end up marrying Black people. It's a very unique thing. You even have Ukrainian women just love dark skinned guys to death, and the reverse is true of Ukrainian guys. They love Black women. Shout out to DJ Vlad. He married a Black woman. Virtually every Ukrainian guy I know in America is married to a Black woman. Oh. But neither here nor there. And see, this is why when I come on and say these things, people hate it because it's like, damn it. Some said they hate information. So to wrap up what I'm saying, to answer your question, allyship is only those people who are able to appreciate the complexities of others. If you're not able to appreciate a Black guy from Brighton Beach as opposed to a Black guy from Lower London, mm-hmm. Even though you're all Wessex, mm-hmm. You need to understand these levels of appreciation. If you don't, it doesn't matter if we're the same color, then therefore you're not in an ally mentality. Here's my last point. When you look at the free trade agreement that's going on in Africa, the Arab nation is part of that. How is that going to benefit Africa? But the people who are from Africa, they'll say, Mr. Research, you're stupid. You need more research. You need more education. This will allow us to sell our goods. But sir, before you invited Britain over in 1771, you were allowed to sell your goods. They fooled you. They created trading posts and started taxing you. Same thing with the French over in the Ivory Coast. You guys needed them to protect your borders, but they wouldn't even let you sail the ships. So what is allyship? If they don't appreciate the complexities of people, then they're going to come in, use them, and 10 years later, their children will be dominating your children. What are your thoughts, sir?
I think you make a very valid point in regards to in regards to historically how countries have only aligned allied themselves with other countries and other entities for their own gain, basically. I think that's totally normal. I think it's a different kettle of fish when it comes to people, okay? I've spent a lot of time in Eastern Europe as well. There's quite a lot of Nigerians in Kiev, and there's a little area where a lot of Nigerians have these little stalls in the middle of Kiev, okay? And there was a far right-wing neo-Nazi rally going on, and I just happened to stumble on it, and I was just walking through it. I had no idea who they were. Just walked through it, and everyone was like giving me looks. I had a rucksack on, and I had a big beard as well, so everybody thought that I was some sort of like suicide bomber. And I was in a rush as well, and I was walking like this with everyone was like, so I think different people from different places have different experiences of race relations, right? Okay, so there are a lot of racist Ukrainians because they don't know anything else better. It's difficult for them to leave their country. I think you have also the Tatars also in Ukraine as well. That's
True.
another race, right? So they are more I shouldn't say this word, but oriental in their looks, right?
True.
They're from the east. So
closer to Mongolia.
Yeah. They're close to Mongolia, but obviously there's a lot of admixture in there. Vladimir Putin is one. He's got admixture. If you look at his eyes, if you look at his face.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's one of those. And people like, who's the famous actor as well from Russia?
There's a couple of them.
Yeah.
I always think about Baryshnikov. Yeah, he's a dancer. He's a dancer that turned into an actor.
Yes. Baryshnikov was he was on Sex and the City for a while, wasn't he?
Maybe so. I never watched Sex and the City. He did a movie with the black guy called White Knights or something. Dancer. Yeah.
I forgot his name as well. Gregory Peck. No, not Gregory Peck.
Gregory Hines.
Gregory Hines.
Right.
So yeah, Baryshnikov. He's originally Latvian. He's from Latvia.
Right.
Yeah. So he's from the former Russian USSR. So yeah, he's from Russia.
Yeah, Russia.
But yeah, all these people they have significant amounts of admixture from the East, but a lot of them disown that part of their heritage. A lot of them disown it. If you go a little further south in Russia as well, now you've got a lot of the Muslims and the states just above Georgia. Those people are what's that part of Russia? I keep forgetting.
Armenia. There's Kazakhstan.
It's above Armenia. So those types of I keep trying to explain to people, especially in the it's all
Celtic land at the end of the day. All that's Celtic land. And the Aryans came out of there through the Caucasus Mountains also, because the Caucasus Mountains are in through there, which is one reason why the people don't really like Aryans, because they don't believe Aryans are actual people. They came out of the Caucasus Mountains. But hey, that's where we get the term Caucasian from. They came out of the Caucasus Mountains. But go ahead, please continue.
No, I understand what you're saying. But this is confusing because you got a lot of the people from the Caucasus weren't from Europe. Okay, they have
true.
They're from Iran, aren't they? The Iranian, the Persian.
Everybody's still trying to understand where they actually come from because nobody really wants to claim Aryans. It's a weird thing because when they invaded India, and let me make this point to your chat room. Chat room, I understand you guys have a lot of verbal disrespect for me, but one of the reasons why I understand European history, you have to understand how the enemy thinks. I'm the only black man at my hospital. One of the reasons, all the other black guys are service workers. Okay. One of the reasons, chat room, is because we have to get out of name calling. I know some of you guys have gotten a kick out of name calling me since I've come here. You got to understand that you can't have this Ku Klux Klan mentality towards your own people. You have to be intellectuals, because
Yeah.
being an intellectual is the only thing anti-Black people fear. You can get a laugh and a kick and a giggle, make calling names from the safety of the chat room. But when you're in a boardroom or when you're trying to fight to get your people hired, I got 12 Black men hired before COVID. I had to
Mm.
force my people at the job to get them in positions at other areas. But name calling and having all this emotional fun, it doesn't, you guys are not going to get nowhere like that. So I do have a lot of European knowledge. I have a lot of African knowledge as well, because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be intellectual giants, not
Yeah.
name callers.
Oh,
Back, yeah, go ahead. Back to you, sir.
yeah. Sorry, I was about to say. I think a lot of people don't understand, right? A lot of the old school African Americans will understand that when we think about um, being Black and in America, the one thing is that's been portrayed on TV, especially in the 80s, right? The one thing that was pushed at us was that we were violent criminals. That sort of thing was pushed on us, right? Not just on other races, but it was pushed on us too. Even during the breakup of the former Soviet Union, there is a movie. They made movies, right? And these movies were all about America, right? There's one movie called Brat, and it's all about Russians going to America. And they did essentially the reverse of what we did to them, of what Hollywood did to them. So every time you think of Russia in America, what's the first thing you think about? You think about snow, you think about cold, abject poverty, all those types of things, which in Moscow, I mean, it still exists, but Moscow is crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's a crazy city. I've only been there once, but
Well, but they don't really believe in religion like that. So
no,
that's one thing that kind of adds to it, their
yeah,
whole,
yeah,
thing.
exactly. So a lot of people don't understand that when we Black people in America, when you're from other parts of the diaspora, we think of Black people from America as being articulate, intelligent, people who break boundaries. Those are the types of things my mother taught me. She was like, these people are a different kettle of fish. Okay, they have something special about them. Okay, because they are forever trying to break these boundaries, and it's almost in their DNA now. And
True.
even when they go past it, they just keep going. So when we need to learn how to embrace one another,
Yeah.
no
True.
matter what. I'll tell you something. There's a video that I was contemplating making. I'm like, I'm not even sure whether I've stopped myself from making it, right, because I didn't think anybody was going to watch it. So I was going to make a video about how African Americans are coming over here to Europe, and they are dominating the classical music scene at this moment. They've just taken over everything. Unbelievable. The best who's the guy that goes like this?
Oh, oh God,
Conductor.
yeah, conductor.
The orchestra conductor. The best one in the world now is Roderick. I forgot his last name now, but he's an African American guy
True.
from Illinois, and he's brilliant. He is absolutely brilliant. He used to be at the he used to work at one of the philharmonics in Denver, I think. I can't remember, but he just the opera singers, everyone, and they're not Jamaican. They're not from the Caribbean. They're African American.
Right. Right.
And they all have their story, and a lot of us, especially a lot of African Americans, cannot understand these people. They're like they have difficulty understanding why you would want to become an opera singer, or why you would want to go into the ballet, why you would want to be a conductor. What does a conductor do? You understand? Yet, however, it's crazy that the African American ethnicity is pumping out this talent, and they're all coming over to Europe.
Well,
and they're dominating over here. It's crazy.
Let me add this, because this kind of correlates to something I see in the chat room. People, so a couple of people asked, how can you work for whites and have all this intelligence? And this goes to what you just said. Here's the number one problem, Black people. Black folks, we are not financially supporting each other the way other groups, other monolithic groups are. See, other groups have no problem being monolithic. So when you say self-employment, sometimes self-employment is not a greater dominating force to compete with those monolithic groups who are already in power. It's like you saying, I'm going to open up a store because I can to compete against Walmart. Sometimes you got to go compete against the fifth store, K Swagger, become part of their management team, get them up to a competing level, get all these contacts, and then create your own. It is kind of, if you have the style or approach for self-employment, you will always get crushed. You have to remember what you're going up against in what particular industry. Again, name calling people is not intellectual. Because you disagree with somebody, you need to provide evidence on how I'm wrong and why I'm wrong, not have a crack cocaine addiction to name calling. Oh, you sound obnoxious. Okay, what does obnoxious sound like? Because we hear some of our British brothers, they're very articulate in their pronunciations because Wessex is a place of mathematical speech. They speak in detail. So obnoxious is your view as the person reading the book. It's not actually the writer. And that's a name calling type of thing. What we want you, or what I would prefer that you do, help your grandchildren in these discussions by having higher level discussions, as opposed to tearing each other down. Because when you look at whites, that's what they want Black people to do. Over in Africa right now, all these tribes, there was no tribes like that. When it was the Nok Empire, there was no Nigeria. Nigeria is a creation from a white woman. She's the one who named Nigeria Nigeria. A white female sleeping with that Black leader. You guys were the Nok Empire before Husa came around, before Neri, before all that. Yes, I know African history as well. So compete with me on an intellectual level, chat room, as opposed to finding the safety of just name calling. Sorry about that, sir.
Oh no, that's okay. That's okay. Of course, this is typical. Actually, it's typical of who we are, right? Really. I think it goes for everybody. It's not just a Black thing. I think it goes for everybody. When people don't understand a particular person, they don't understand a particular person's background, his history. It's easy to get to have problems with people in that sort of a way. I know when I started this channel, I knew right straight away when I called myself this name and I came out with the British accent, I knew there were going to be a flood of people who are only going to watch me, right?
Yeah.
Who are my enemies. They only wanted to watch me
see if you go slip up.
That was the only reason. So I was like, oh, look at all these, people, they're following me. But a lot of them did not like me. They were there. So, and I understand that. This accent I speak with now is not, I'm from the West Midlands, okay? So I should speak like this, you know what I mean? So I should speak with a Birmingham accent, but I don't, because if I spoke that way, no one would understand. No one in the chat room would understand.
Right.
So the way I speak it's not put on, okay, but I speak in a way in which people, I articulate my words in a way in which anyone who has any comprehension of English, it doesn't matter which country you're from, will understand what I am saying. So yeah, I just people, I think now that we've got the internet, more and more people are learning, and they're becoming more understandable that the African diaspora itself is varied and is always changing as well. Okay,
True.
it's mercurial, right?
True.
So
Let me interject this one thing because something
yeah,
else came up. Somebody said I have hate for Africans. No, I am intellectually challenging Africans in an effort to help them see what the white man sees about them. Let me say it again. I'm just putting out intellectual challenges, because if you can't answer a question as an African or even as an American, and I resort to calling you ignorant, saying you need to go do more research. Okay, thank you for name calling me. Now back to the topic. Can you answer this question? You are stupid. You are ignorant. Okay, I get you. I'm not. I'm a 3.8 honor student, but if I tell you that now, you're going to say I'm puffing my chest. But thank you for calling me names. Can we get back to the topic? That's what you're calling hate. You're calling it hate because I don't want to just blindly agree. Arab nation and China is about to create a Silk Road through your country, and you have no guarantees on paper from your leaders that you're going to benefit. You called me saying that hate. You got Chinese giving you guys plastic rice right now. You guys are not up in arms about it. You're just dealing with it. You got some Chinese people getting celebrations in Ghana for creating a business. What you guys are not understanding is, yes, the free trade agreement will open you up to sell your stuff and take you back to the 1500s when you had no taxation, which you shouldn't have aligned with Britain in the first place. But now you're about to get two masters, Arab nation and China. That's on paperwork. You're in the chat room calling that observation hate. I would prefer that you intellectually provide evidence on how I'm wrong. That's how we come to help our grandchildren.
Would you ever repatriate to Africa?
Yes, I think because I was looking at buying land and going over to a particular area. My one concern, because on my channel I was talking to a guy from Liberia. My one concern is that respectfully, many of our Africans don't like talking about history. And for me, as an American, I have to look at history because in order for me not to repeat something, I have to be somewhat versed on it. We've had situations where Africans have went against the West several times. And guess what would happen? They'd get killed by another African. And then the cycle will repeat. Then we wait 40 years, another guy comes up. He's like, you know what? I ain't taking no money from Britain. I'm all about my people. And then somebody from his military kills him. And then it starts all over. Even when we look at Liberia's first war, 1970, the complaints, the complaints that they had, the guy was working on it. He publicly said, no, we got to bring people in. We got to make this all inclusive. And he got killed for not moving fast enough. Mm-hmm. See, that type of stuff helps white people, because white people, when you look at King Louis and all these people who raped Africa, all their whole words are, oh, the Africans will do it to themselves. Just give them time. The Africans don't really want that. They just want to kill other Africans. You got white people saying this in journals and documentation. So, yes, I'm mentioning it But don't hate me for that. Don't go in the chat room and say, oh, he's spreading hate. No, these are documented things. You don't like it because it doesn't make things look as great as it should be. But we have to have these conversations because you're from where you are, sir. I'm from where I'm at. When it comes to some of these people, they're only going to look as black. They don't care if we're from different areas. They want their children to dominate our children. That's it. And we got to get over this. I'm from this country. You stupid. Africa's big. Not in the eyes of anti-blacks. Anti-blacks don't view it that way.
I agree. I agree with that. You know, it's scary, but there are people who don't understand even now what is happening right now in Africa. There are people that don't understand the dynamics of what is being built there at this present moment. The Chinese right now are building a legacy. They are already taken care of. These people are taken care of. They don't need to worry about themselves. They don't need to worry about their children at this present moment. However, they are building a legacy for their great-grandchildren, for their great-great-grandchildren, and they are just laying right now the foundations when it comes to buying land and all that sort of thing. They don't care about doing anything with the land. They're going to countries like Botswana, right there, especially the Chinese in Botswana, in Zambia, sorry. In Zambia, they're going to countries like that, knowing that land is going to be a precious resource, right there. They're taking that land, they're buying it legally, that's okay, right? They're buying that land.
True.
Zambia is one of those, is one of the rare countries where you can go to as a Chinese person, you can marry someone there, become a Zambian, and buy the land straight away.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that in Ghana, okay? But Zambia, you can do it, okay? So a lot of Chinese are attracted to this place. Plus, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Chinese people, you can't get married as a Chinese person unless you own property. Did you know that?
No,
you can't get married at all. No family is going to accept you unless you have, if you're living in China, you need to have 2 properties. Okay, so you need to have your home, and then you need to have another property somewhere. Yeah. So that is, I mean, I was in, I forgot the name of the city now. I was in China last year, and I went to Shanghai, and there's a part of Shanghai that's just filled with empty high rises. It's crazy. They're just building these high rises so people can buy them. You know, they're a big money machine at this present moment. And the children right now who are being left behind because we do not think strategically about the children that are getting left behind are going to be our great-grandchildren.
True.
Those are the ones who are going to be in trouble unless we act right now, all right, and realize what's happening and do something about it. We don't have to buy them out. We just need to make sure we develop the country, the continent. We help to develop the continent as well, right? African continentals can do this themselves, okay? And they're doing it. I don't know if you've seen Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
Lagos is crazy. Lagos would outperform any European city. Of course, you got Paris and London, okay, pretty decent cities. Lagos is crazy, right?
But they need their sons and daughters to stop being so proud abroad in the diaspora on their success and bring that money back and create that movie theater, create that soccer stadium. Stop saying you're in Wisconsin and you're doing so well. Give 10-15% of that money back, like Chinese do, and go ahead and build that a more than just a restaurant. One of your people here donated, and she said we need to support each other financially. Well, here's the problem as it relates to solutions. You don't hire each other.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't have disposable money if you're not hiring each other. If you're sitting up here saying, well, if you have the skill set, and if you have Pakistanis are not doing that. Pakistanis are hiring each other just because they're from the same religion, irregardless of skill set. The racist white man here in America before Bill Clinton, you didn't have to have no college degree. You had what was called on the job training. So while Ebony says support each other financially, I say it's worse. Here in America, the EEOC, the highest complaint is from black males not getting hired or fired. Okay. So it's not about so much financially. How many people, every black person in the chat room, how many people have you hired? How many, if you're an independent person with your own business, how many have you hired? If you're not hiring black people, and look, I mean black folks, then what's the purpose? People come from England, people come from Africa sometimes to America. You know what the first they do? Let's be all inclusive. Let's just be all inclusive. Guess what? The Irish guy ain't thinking like that. Yeah, he gonna be all inclusive when it fits his narrative, but if he got somebody from Belfast, guess what? Hey, me bucko, come on. Oh, I don't really know how to do. I'll train you, no problem. Let me talk to Negropian and tell him I'm running out of money, and he got 1 month before he got to go. Yeah. Well, he's been with you for 5 years. He'll be all right. He got skills. Mm-hmm. See, this is the problem. I went to I got 5 certifications in my industry. I went to a position. I moved back to California to help my parents. I interviewed with this lady of my culture, ADOS. The Latin lady brought me in. The Latin lady, oh, this is great. You and Stanford is a prestigious hospital out here. Oh, you do so great and blah, blah, blah. We can't wait to have you. And I'm like, great. This is 8 minutes from the house. I just got here 2 days ago. This will work out. Mm-hmm. The lady from my culture, oh, I don't think this will be a good position for you. I think you'll be bored. Oh, no, ma'am. This is great. I love all things medical. I stay 8 minutes from here, as you know, for traffic purposes. This is great. I can articulate a conversation. She continues. No, I think if you keep looking, you'll get something better than this. Mm-hmm. Uncomfortably, I said to her, respectfully, ma'am, please don't think for me. This would be ideal for me. No, I don't think I can let you have this. Mm-hmm. Now, I end up working at a different hospital, but 3 years later, that same Latin lady called me in, right? For a similar position, but at a totally different location, 45 minutes away, right? When I went into the interview, guess who they had fired? The black woman who blocked me.
Wow.
The whole office only had 3 black people in it. And this is what we do. We spend so much time hating and name calling each other, just like some 10% of people in the chat room. But we are not helping each other progress. We are not pulling each other in. Some people working right now can't even get their own daughter working at the office that they currently work. But they constantly see Pakistanis working there. They constantly see people who just got to the country getting pulled into high paying jobs. You got to remember the guy from San Bernardino who was an ISIS guy, he had a great position with the water company. This is what they do. Yeah, this is what they do. While we black people name call each other, spit on each other, talk about each other, we can't support each other financially if we're not hiring each other. That's my suggestion. What are your thoughts, sir?
Let me ask you a question a little bit up. Well, I want to get back onto the subject, onto the subject of white allies, right? Do you have specific, I can't remember, I think I did ask you this question in the beginning. Do do you have any white allies? People, do you have somebody that you could say, wait a minute, yeah, I know somebody who without question, is a white ally.
I don't personally keep them, no, but throughout my career, unfortunately, I've had white people fight for me against black people. It is the weirdest feeling I've ever had in my entire life.
Explain.
So I have 27-year career in what I do. And there have been great black people, more so great black women. So I've had maybe like 5 great black women who went to bat. I've only had 1 black male who's ever gone to bat. I've had way more non-black people fight for me or try to put me in position or try to excel me. 95% were white, Asian, Latin people trying to put me in the best position, and many a times against black people trying to sabotage me. So case in point, they had this panel interview, and mind you, I have a certification for this. This is not me just applying to a position. So I already work somewhere, and then I was looking for some weekend work. I was trying to work 3 jobs, but they didn't know about the other 2 jobs. Right. And so I go in for this weekend position. They need somebody that has the ability to go from place to place. This was at Wellstar Hospital in Georgia. 4 black ladies controlled 4 satellites. 2 white women controlled 2 of the satellites. What they needed was somebody who could go from place to place and do front end work. Well, I got a cert for the back end, the middle end, the front end. I got it all. Okay. It's nothing. All you got to do is show me the software. And I'm with a smile. I have a nice suit, the whole 9. My nice suit, the black women start teasing me during the interview and said, "You look like a pastor." I smiled and took that insult and tried to stay focused on the interview. Well, thank you very much for the compliment, but no, I'm not a pastor. I had a nice black suit. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't nothing corny. Then I took it as they were trying to see how I dealt with customer service aggression. But then it got worse to the point where the white women felt uncomfortable at what the black women were saying about me. I had a red tie. I was kind of similar to this suit that you see me in this picture. And I was like, okay, at this point, I'm like, okay, no problem. Well, this is not my fan club, but I'm going to smile. And as I was leaving, there was a lady that they hired who could no longer fill the position. She was like, I think I need to quit. And I said, well, just hang in there. I talked to her as I was leaving. And they kept her. And the 2 white women spent like 6 months trying to find some type of role for me, but the 4 black women were against it. I've never done nothing to these ladies. I didn't say nothing, but I'm a guy with 5 certifications. I thought it was all about skill set, but it's not. A lot of times it's about that. And so I was so confused because I love black people that I went and put a question on Yahoo Answers at the time. And I said, for black women in management or HR, when a black guy interviews, do you somehow see him differently? Do you see him as an enemy? What do you see? And 40%, not 60, 40%. So it's under 50. I give it that. 40% of the ladies were very honest. They said, until you posed this question, I didn't realize sometime I have treated my black brothers unfairly because they might remind me of a boyfriend or they might. And I'm like, and in my mind, I'm like, and you're not staying professional, seeing this person that's just a regular human being. You're allowing your emotions to override your manager and HR training, and you're actually critiquing this person from an unfair standpoint. But it opened my eyes. 40% of those who replied were honest about how they felt about their own males in employment positions. So when it comes to allies, sir, I have had a lot of allies. I have not kept them in rotation, but unfortunately, that's been what it is. I don't want it that way, but
No,
that's what it is.
I asked the question because I'm married to a woman who's a non-black woman. She doesn't identify herself, even though there's talk around the internet that she is white. She doesn't identify herself as white, but
Right.
She for me is one of the most trustworthy, honest people that I've ever met. I'm lucky that I'm married to a person like that. Okay, so
applause.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. So whenever I find somebody, if I find somebody like that, I keep those types of people close to me, and I can count them on one palm of my hand. I'm 43 years old now. I can count them on the palm of my hand right now in my entire life. One of them is my mother. There isn't a lot of people that you can call a 100% true ally, right? Hannah Darina, that's not funny. No, it's all right. Anyway, but little private joke she's making. So yeah, I can count them on the palm of my hand. There isn't many. You're not going to meet many of them in your entire life. So I keep those people close to me, and that's it. I'm like, I keep them because there isn't many. So it's not like it has anything to do with race that I found out now. It has nothing to do with race. I now realize that there are people who we can call personal allies, best friends, who are going to be who could come from totally different backgrounds, and their backgrounds will align with you personally because they see something in you which would have come from their culture.
True.
Right. So you're going to get a lot of people, and a lot of people in the chat are not going to like what I'm going to have to say now, but we were all brought up, especially me. I had this problem too, right? I was when I was playing basketball, because I played basketball for a while. When I was playing basketball was it in high school? No, I was playing sort of semi-professionally in the UK for Birmingham Bullets, actually, a long time ago.
Name drop.
Early 1990s, okay? I used to rush back home so I could watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when the new one was going out. So we're talking a very long time ago. The guys, they didn't know how to take me because I never spoke like them. I never spoke to them. I never hanged out in the same places that they did. We couldn't communicate, but we were from the same city,
Right.
We were from the same city. They were from the city center sort of thing, and I was from, they're from the city center. I used to live in the city center. Okay, I used to live in Aston, in Birmingham, and my mother moved out. She moved into the suburbs. Our family moved to the suburbs, and that was it. It was like culturally, we drifted apart, and these people, I played basketball with them for years. They could never call me an ally. There was no one on that team, and they were all black, by the way, and there was no one on that team who I could call anything close to a friend or an ally, because especially we as black people, we tend to struggle to communicate. No, not even black people, everyone actually. We fear the unknown. Humans fear the unknown. So when you see someone that's a little bit different, they're like, it's like fight or flight instead of trying to understand and learn. You understand? So it's one of those things. So I completely understand where you're coming from. I completely understand.
It's very unfortunate. I think people don't understand, especially people don't understand.
Let me interject real quickly. I just wanted to say
please,
thank you to Ebony Repat. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for that. Sorry, yeah, carry on. Speak. What was you saying?
I think people don't understand, especially when you love, you love it from a appreciation standpoint, but you're surrounded by people who want to have love from a controlling standpoint. And then when you finally, like, I like very dark skinned women. I mean very dark, like Chad. I like very dark skinned ladies, and the amount, but I'm willing to accept love because I appreciate love. But I have lineage, so therefore I have to be very protective of who comes into my circle. I just can't go off somebody playing a game. And I think what happens is what I'm learning in these African discussions and Pan African discussions, the level of disrespect we give each other is starting to be more than the Ku Klux Klan ever did. The level of anti maleness in these spaces. It makes a person not want to be involved. It makes a person want to go find what they need to find, create their family, and not being involved. And it's just very scary at this point in time. It's a weird thing to feel, because I grew up 2 blocks from where the Black Panthers were created. I used to see, when I was a little kid, I used to see people like Huey Newton all the time. And when I left Northern California, that's when I realized a lot of Black people don't enjoy being Black. Where I grew up from, they love afros. We even have a Black Joy Parade every year in February. Yeah. Where people get out, and it's a lot of Black people, and white people get to experience Black people just celebrating being Black. And we have that every year, and it's called the Black Joy Parade. If people want to look it up, this is stuff we created. We Northern Black Californians, we created a law that you cannot HR cannot go against people for having natural Black hair, whether it be dreadlocks or whatever. So I grow up in a place that Black people fight for Black people. And it's just amazing when you go outside of here how anti-Black people's words are. It's really amazing. But thank you so much for allowing me to speak, sir.
That's no problem. That's no problem. And thank you for coming on and sharing with us your thoughts, Mr. Research. Feel free to stick your
Oh, no worries. But I invite you. No, I'm not a self-promoter, but I invite you to come over to my guys anytime on our stream and have a higher level conversation. Everybody gets to speak. There's no over talking each other. I moderate very good, and everybody gets to speak. We have married guys over there. We have guys who are very on another level. I've even invited some white guests so I can go toe to toe with them on details of political history. This is why I enjoy. I think that we need to have higher level conversations so that we can show the anti-Blacks that that's not the correct thing to do. So, thank you.
Rob, I will definitely take you up on your offer. Thank you very much.
Bravo. Cheers.
Thank you. Take care and enjoy your Saturday. So that was great. I liked that conversation. And do you know what? Let me tell you something. Why I liked that conversation. It was because many people disagreed with him, or many people disagreed with his character. Although he articulated his words in the right way and everything else, he was able to communicate his viewpoint. And I kind of I admire that. I admire that in people who don't change themselves in order to be liked by other people. You understand? I'm kind of that way myself. Never, guys. If it's one thing I teach you, one thing: don't ever change. I mean, most of you guys will know this already. Don't ever change for anyone. Anyone. Be yourself. Be yourself. Be unapologetically yourself. Be unapologetically you. That's why I call this channel this, right? Yeah, I know. We've gone on for over an hour. It doesn't matter. I'm going to keep going anyway because that call was nice. Nicole! Come on! You can't be saying those words when you're broadcasting. You know that, right? Yeah, yes, Shazji. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. Yeah, I think it's important that you remain yourself, right? Because you got a lot of people out there. You've seen the last few of my videos. There are a lot of people out there who pretend to be something that they are not. Okay? And they try to promote themselves as being something that they are not. Behind this screen, I am me. You know who I am, right? Okay? And the thing is, I can't be that way. I can't pretend to be somebody who I'm not, because I'm just going to mess up straight away. Okay? I'll get found out straight away. You'll know straight away that I'm faking it. So, but anyway, yeah, that's true, Nicole. There are many talkers. There are many talkers, and do you know what? Every single time I have made my videos, I've been probably out and about in the streets here in Zurich, and I've been in my house. But change is afoot. It's coming. There is change afoot. I don't want to start telling you my plans for the next few weeks, but we're going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun, and we're going to get on the road. Essentially, we're going to get on the road. We're going to really dive into some communities who are having problems with fraudsters in the Black community here in Europe. So I'm just diving in head first, and it's not going to be safe. I can tell you right now, it is not going to be safe. So we're gonna have some fun along those lines as well. It's gonna be fun for you guys because you can watch it, but for me, it's gonna be a bit scary. So yeah, it's gonna be really cool. I'm gonna read some of your messages. The hatred is real and disappointing. Why can't people just effing listen and decide afterwards if they heard what they heard is bollocks or not? That's true. That's true. Oh, does it include Bag Saga heading to the... Oh, no. Guys, you need some more fresh... I mean, to be honest with you, if something comes up on the Black Acres of the Gambia, then I'll report on it. I'm not going to go in and start making stories about it unless something happens, you know? When it comes to stories about Bags and about ES, okay, ES is different. I've literally made those stories because I've researched her, but she's taken away all of her videos now, so I can't really research her. Do you remember when she was saying that I was bullying her and I was making stories up? Well, I wasn't making those stories up. I was literally going back into her past, watching her videos, taking notes, and then telling that story to you, and then giving my opinion. And that's what she thought was bullying, strangely enough. Okay, so I forgot what I was trying to say, but when it comes to these people, I'm going to be more reactionary because I don't want to make this YouTube channel all about writing about other YouTubers. You know, they've got their own channels. If they want to promote themselves, they can feel free to promote themselves on their own channel, but I'm not going to start promoting all these people willy-nilly to my subscribers. So I want the content that I'm going to get is going to be better, right? I cannot start up a Patreon account, what I've got, link in the description. I cannot start up a Patreon account and then give you guys the same sandwiches, you know what I mean? Give you the same food and just be like, here, you've given me money, but you're going to get the same thing. No. We're gonna I will let you know more very, very soon. Okay. But yeah. I'm gonna read some of your messages. Don't shoot the messenger. Chitty chatter mouth. Be wise and know your culture. Your boss is a warrior. Chatty mouth. You are a traitor. A song by a fantastically brilliant Jamaican reggae group called The Gladiators. I've never heard of them. Self-emancipation. I've never heard of them. Have you ever heard of Death? Another band. They were from Detroit. They're a punk rock group from Detroit. These are the guys that started punk rock. Everybody thinks it's British, but punk rock was started in the States by these guys. And they're all Rastas. They're all Rastafari. It's crazy. Just type in Google Death Band punk rock Detroit or something like that. Just Google that, they'll come up. And they've got a song called Politicians Tell Me Lies. Oh man, brilliant album, by the way, guys. Brilliant album. I was going to start using their music inside. Actually, I might use it. Start using their music at some point. You know, like I said, I'm going to start making this channel a little better. It's going to have a bit more flavor to it. Okay. So I'm going to start. It's not because we're not just talking about the continent of Africa as well. We're talking about African diasporans, and the ethnicities all around the diaspora are extremely varied. We rarely talk about Brazil, do we? When do we ever talk about the largest black populace outside of Africa, African populace, African diasporan populace outside of Africa? It's right there in Brazil. We never talk about them. We never hear their voices. So it would be interesting. I want to get some people on from the Brazilian diaspora, have them talking about their experiences, the black experience in Brazil. I'm also going to start talking about the problems they face with corruption there in their society, and how we can help out from the diaspora. There's a lot of things that we can do in the diaspora that they can't do in Brazil. You remember a couple of years ago, it wasn't last year, I think it was the year before, there was a black Brazilian, she used to organize protests and stuff, and she was murdered by the police. I don't know if you guys remember that. Let's see if any of you guys remember that. But yeah, there was a woman there. She was murdered by the police. We could be a voice for the Black Brazil populace, and we can stay in our little cozy apartments in Zurich, and nothing's going to happen to us, but we can be their voice, you know? So I'm looking to change this channel into something which is going to be more worthy, you know, which we can make real change. We are going to start hitting people who are going to West Africa for sex tourism, more specifically for to exploit children. Okay, children are already being exploited in West Africa right now as we speak. But I really want to start going after those people specifically. And it doesn't matter what color they are, right? It doesn't matter what color they are, but I'm going to more focus on the people that are coming in from Europe, right? I'm going to focus on the people coming in from Europe and taking advantage of our children, right? There are many people on the ground in West Africa that are part of that infrastructure, right? Part of the skeleton that helps these predators to abuse our children, and they get paid from it. For them, it's the way they It's the way they make their money. They wake up in the morning and this is what they do. It's totally sick. It needs to stop. We as diasporans, we need to stamp this out. We can do something about this. So we're going to go this way. We're going to go this way. And, you know, guys, we're going to need those allies. We're going to need those allies. And let's have a look. I'm going to read what you guys are saying here. Yes, Shazza I've got to agree with Shazza on this one. There are a lot of people saying some nasty things about this gentleman. I'm not sure if that was totally fair. But none of you came on. None of you came, except for you, Nicole. You came on. But nobody else came on afterwards, wanted to talk or anything like that. So what do you want to do? Let's have a look. Showtime. Death squads were prevalent in the 1980s where dark-skinned children were gathered and killed. What? Yes! What? You think that's still, that has stopped? Showtime. That has not stopped. I remember I was in Egypt 20 years ago. I was in Egypt. 20 years ago, yeah. 2002, I was in Egypt, right? And I met a woman there. And she was a Norwegian woman. And she sat me down. We was talking away. This is 20 years ago, right? This is before anybody had the internet on their phones and stuff. I was sitting there and she's just talking stuff at me. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay. Yeah, children are, you know, the dark-skinned children are getting rounded up. They're getting, in Brazil, they're getting their blood's taken so they can see whether they can take out their organs, and they're taking these children off the streets and they're just taking their organs and selling it to the highest bidder and yada yada yada. I'm like, yeah. Didn't believe any of that for a split second. I was sitting there like, God. The internet comes along and hits me, and I realized that she was telling the truth. I mean, she was an activist. She was. I mean, I wonder if I can find her. It would be brilliant if I could find her. She was a really cool cat. But yeah, Brazil have some horrific problems. They have horrific problems, and the people over there in Brazil that look like me and you, right? Those people are not living the Brazilian dream. Okay, I had a Brazilian woman before actually tell me this before. She said people from the north are ugly, and I didn't understand what she meant there, because I kind of agreed with, not agreed with her, but I sort of understood, because she was a rat. She wasn't pretty at all, you know. If you go to Brazil, you know, when we think about Brazil over here in the West, we think, oh, wow, olive skinned, beautiful women, blood. Brazil's not like that, is it? We just get this fake, unauthentic sort of facade of what Brazil is like. It's a hellhole for our people, and we need to do more for them. So that's what I'm talking about. We're going to do more for those. It is Showtime. It is bad. It is really bad. It is really, really bad. I wanted to have a Brazilian woman on. She might come on still, actually. She's a friend of mine, and she lives in the United States now. She lives in Seattle, and she told me a story, because she was an Olympian. And she told me a story. I think she was she was into judo, karate, one of those things. She was an Olympian. She told me a story about the Atlanta Olympics, 1996, Atlanta. I think it was 1996. And they had the Brazilian team, the Olympic team, came to Atlanta, and there was a massive problem. I'm not sure if anyone, let's see if anybody will know this one. Okay, so they had a massive problem because you got to fill in your boarding cards, don't you, before you get into the United States, and it tells you, asks you which race are you. Right. Now, in the United States of America, in the United States of America, if you have a little bit of black admixture into your blood, a little bit of that tiny bit of that phenotype in your blood, if let's say you're 3/4 white and you're a little bit black, what are you? You call yourself black, or you call yourself African American. You know, you sort of embrace, more people are embracing that side of themselves. Okay, right? But in Brazil, it's totally the opposite direction. So if you have a tiny bit of white admixture in your blood, most Brazilians who look like us but have tiny bits of admixture, white admixture in their blood, they call themselves white. White. Not like mixed, not mulatto, nothing like that. White. And a lot of that team were having problems coming into Atlanta because you had people who were a little lighter skinned than me. You know, I'm quite dark skinned, but a little bit lighter skinned than me. And if they had straight hair on their beard, I'm white. Boom. All the Brazilian football players like Neymar and Hulk, all those Brazilian football players, they don't see themselves as being black. They don't identify themselves as black at all. So a lot of them would come over to Europe and they wouldn't understand. They'd get racist chants going to play in the Ukraine and going to play in Russia, and they'd get these racist chants. Like, what are you being racist to me for? I'm not black. The guy's looking like me. Yeah, so I can't remember where I was going with like this, but yeah, race, it's very prevalent there. But we never talk about it, even though they're, and it's probably because their neighbors, the United States, you have the African Americans there who have essentially taken the world and just, that's ours, that is, really, haven't they? As they are the personification. We are black people. They are the flag bearers. The African Americans are the flag bearers of our race. A lot of people won't agree with that, but it's the truth. Okay, so they are the flag bearers, and this is part of the reason why I got really hard on a lot of African Americans that were coming over to Africa, shysting our people, because I'm like, you guys should be. You are the ambassadors of our race. You really are. Okay, so you should be exporting the positive side of your ethnicity and not the negative side. But people are just in it for themselves, man. I don't know. Let's have a look. Flossens, Clossens. Ironically, the black Brazilians are better looking, but they don't get promoted. It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. They're incredibly good-looking people. And the Portuguese, those of Portuguese and Italian descent, it's strange because they are not the best looking people there. Far from it, right? In my point of view, anyway. You have a lot of Italians, a lot of Italian immigrants, a lot of Japanese immigrants coming to Brazil right now. They're enjoying their lives. They're loving their lives. They really enjoy it. So let's have a look. Nana Afori. My friends in Rio are going through it. They get harassed by police and military all the time. Yeah, this is true. This is very, very true. As soon as they see that dark skin, that hint of dark skin, that's it. And the police, they shoot to kill. Okay, it's like America, but worse. Okay, that's because the black people there are even more disenfranchised than the black people in the United States of America. You go to the United States of America, there are plenty of wealthy black people in the United States of America. Middle class in the United States, the black middle class is huge. It's probably the largest black middle class in the world, right? Isn't it? In the United States. They don't have that in Brazil. They don't have that. There's no mobility. There's no upward mobility in their society for black people. It's terrible. And this is a country, an extremely rich country in terms of resources, in terms of money in itself, right? And where are they? They should just take over the upper half of Brazil and just take it for themselves, you know? Why not? It's just crazy. This is a country that has everything. We have a few idiots who are trying to run the place. Okay, black people must, the Pan-African ADOS, A1 black man, black people must address the present bad tasting medicine, go along to get along, black voices on stage with the mic and in positions of authority. Heavy load heavy load off in black oppression. Don't quite understand everything you're saying there, Pan-African ADOS, A1 black man. I wonder why the media is so invested in Uganda. Mr. Uganda, what's your thoughts on it? I understand what your question is. I understand that. But it would be really good, not your question, your comment. Oh, it is a question. I wonder what your thoughts were. I thought you were going to make something about Bobby Wine. Do you accept that you're the president, the current incumbent president, and now newly elected president is this same guy? I forgot his name now. Do you accept him still as being the president of Uganda? Because this guy's he's been in charge for 30 years, man. And the thing is, when it comes to African countries, yes, I'm just going to paint the whole continent altogether because it's a rarity to have a country that will just have that peaceful transition of power. When it comes to African countries, you've got these leaders who are in power for a long time, and it's arguable, right, that their system kind of needs a leader that's in power for a long time. It's like Russia, right? Russia are doing okay. They're okay. 150 million people, a country that's the size of half the world, spans from Europe all the way to the Far East, past China. Okay, it's a massive country. And you have one leader who's been in charge for 20 years, Vladimir Putin. And things are okay. There is structure, there is stability of some kind. And the middle class in Russia is growing steadily. Okay, a lot of nepotism, a lot of corruption. Yeah, fair enough. That's going to be the same here as well. I don't mind a person being in power for 10, 20 years. It's when they absolutely have no inclination of making that country a better place for its normal citizens. Russia, Vladimir Putin always wanted to make Russia a better place for its citizens. Always. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to put Russia back on the map. Right. So I'm going to see if you've made the comment already, Mr. Uganda. Okay, Mr. Uganda. I don't accept Museveni at all. He has done too much. Then again, many of the dictators in Uganda, yeah, okay, I know. Have. Okay. Do you think the international community will accept him? Because Uganda has, is it coltan mines, right? Do you reckon the big international tech companies will sort of throw their money around and start getting their the politicians involved to try and get international pressure taken off Museveni, just like what they've done in Rwanda. It'd be interesting to hear about that. Miss King, what's the best country to move to if you're being gang stalked by American government and people being put out against you? Go to a country that has very little resources, natural resources. Anyone. If there's nothing there for the for not just the Americans, but for the Westerners to take, then they largely ignore those places. Okay, that's why the Congo is in the problems that it's having. Okay, and it's taking all of its neighbors in around it as well. So go, if you want to move to a country like Nicole is moving to Tanzania, great place, natural resources, not a lot. Even though it's a massive country, it doesn't have a huge natural resource. It doesn't have oil and all that stuff. Take a look at Venezuela. Venezuela is close to the United States and it has the largest oil deposits on the planet. And the oil that's there, it's not just cheap oil, because you could get fracked oil from the United States. The United States is the #1 producer of oil. You know that now, right? But it costs so much money to extract it that people don't make a profit from it. Whereas in Venezuela, they have the #1 type of oil. They call it Brent crude. They have it in bucket loads. They just have lots of it, the most in the world. And look at them now. They've caved in on themselves. For what reason? Natural resource. If you have natural resources, I'm telling you now, the people will be coming in from other countries to come and destabilize your country, right? There'll be murder, there'll be all sorts of other stuff like that. And yeah, you're going to have lots of problems. So if you want to move to a place, you want to move somewhere, and you want stability, you want political stability, go to a country that doesn't have natural resources. There you go. Okay, showtime. Most of the African diaspora in Brazil are slowly awakening, but lack of resources to migrate. Yeah. Poverty is extreme in Salvador. You know, the thing is, showtime, you're not getting a lot of Afro-Brazilians moving to Portugal. And I'm wondering why. Why is that the case? If you go to Portugal now, there are Afro-Brazilians there, but they tend to be lighter skinned Afro-Brazilians, like mixed race Afro-Brazilians. There are lots of them there. I'm not sure if they're from Brazil or whether they are from Cabo Verde, you know, from the Portuguese-speaking islands. But there are a lot of them there. Venezuela also have a president to die for. What's his name? I was in Venezuela when Chavez was still there. Everyone was it's just crazy. I was there 15 years ago. 2008, I was in Venezuela. So even 15 years ago. And when I was there, people were living the life. They were living the dream there. Cheap food, cheap fuel there was cheaper, like fuel. What do you guys call it? Gas. Gasoline was cheaper than water in Venezuela when I was there. It was more expensive to buy a bottle of a liter of water than it was to buy a liter of gasoline for your car. They were living the life that if you're a 16-year-old girl and you're in Venezuela and you have a birthday party, what are you going to have for your birthday? Most of them either will have a boob job, okay? They'll have breast augmentation, or they'll have their lips done for their birthday. 16th birthday, sweet 16. Oh, I'm just going to get this done. That was the norm 12, 13 years ago. And now these people, the money is worthless, completely worthless. All that is being engineered. It's being completely engineered. because there are people who have a vested interest in getting their hands on that black gold. That is just too much black gold, right? For one, yeah, Nicolas Maduro, that's correct. Nicolas Maduro, I hope he holds on to power, but, you know, he's no Chavez, is he? I think gasoline is free in Venezuela. Is it free at this moment? Because they couldn't refine. They had oil refineries, but they never put any money into the oil refineries there. Moving to Cabo Verde is like moving to Rhode Island. I know, it's tiny. Cabo Verde is tiny, but it's beautiful. But it's expensive, though. That's the bad thing about Cabo Verde. So if you move in there to try and save money, you're going to have a lot of problems. Because it's just expensive. It's filled with rich, bloody Portuguese and Brazilians who live there, sort of thing. Yeah, okay. Please join us on Bior Noir's channel today or anytime, and we'll meet Mr. Research there again. Really? I'm going to take a look at that. Immigrants from Venezuela are fleeing the government for not the culture, escaping have and have not. I don't understand that. Sorry, I keep missing you guys. Facebook owner has beef with Museveni because Museveni believes he was trying to skew public perception in favor of Bobi Wine. But I reckon he'll be accepted if Uganda don't fight back. You know, when you're in control of an army in Africa, you do a lot of damage. You know, do the people have the will, Mr. Uganda? Do the people have the will for change? Do they have the willpower for change? Because there's a lot of international organizations, and you don't know whether these people like the UN, who are useless, totally useless at times. Sometimes you need to pick up arms and fight for yourself. Look at what are they called? The Kurds. Look at what the Kurds did when ISIS went after them. The Kurds are fine. The Kurds got the weapons from the United States of America and fought them back. So sometimes you just need weapons. You just need to pick up arms yourself and fight. It's just one of those things. And just hope that the Westerners, the Westerners back you, the people with the money. Because this Museveni is going to have a lot of friends in a lot of high places, in a lot of countries that have a lot of money. Who's Brian? Show yourself, Brian. Show yourself. Can't let you on the show. Okay. And the thing is, Mr. Uganda, most of Bobi Wine's fan base, the people that would have supported him and voted for him, they're going to be young people. They're going to be young people who would have been of course, more attracted to him as a new leader. And 80% of the population of Uganda, I don't understand how to do it, it's something like 80%, are under the age of 40. It's a very, very young population in Uganda. It's crazy. So, yeah, it's just, I don't understand. Museveni must know that his time is going to be up soon. Yep, American big tech is open for business, and they do need control of those resources. Whoever controls Uganda controls the block of Eastern Africa. Well, I thought Rwanda was the controller now at this moment. I thought Rwanda was doing that. Museveni was able to mobilize a Somali army in Uganda. Like, what? Wow. Uganda also destabilizes South Sudan, Congo. Wow. I didn't know that. I did not know that at all. Mr. Research was just on Go Back to Africa. Star Rashid Audrey Kami. Really? Museveni. Yeah. Museveni. That's what I call it. Museveni. Yeah. 70% are under 30 in Uganda. Wow. How do they manage that? Oh, MD24V4. I did not know that. A 3-part debate. Yeah, and it's important, you know, getting back to our subject. It's important. I think it's important to have allies, you know, or just people who have mutually beneficial interests. Because that's what it's all about, right? Mutually beneficial interests. If we have our eyes in the blinders like that, we're like, oh yeah, black people are going to be our only allies. Guys, man, we're not going to win any wars that way, man. We're not going to win. We're not winning anything that way. Okay, it's not going to win that way. We need to embrace people of all races, cultures, as long as they have a vested interest in bettering not just us. If it means, you know, if they have that mutual interest in making sure that we all can get to a place of understanding, defeating our oppressors, then that's it. That's all we need. That's all we need. We do need to make sure that those same people don't come in and start oppressing us as well. Like the Chinese. We know what the Chinese are like. We know what they are capable of. I've had many conversations with my mother-in-law, and she was telling us, she's told me, you know, what if the world, you know, what if the world, instead of being Europeans that came out and started, like, you know, colonizing the places, what if the Chinese did it? What if the Chinese did it? It would be different. They're capable of, humans in general are capable of some really horrible, horrible things. Really. Guns on guns. They don't care about nobody. Who's, I'm not aligned with no Chinese. Yeah, but let me tell you something. We can learn from them. We can learn from the Chinese. We can learn so much, because 30 years ago, they were nowhere. They had nothing 30 years ago. They've gone from having practically nothing to being the richest country in the world. They are just about to pass the United States as the richest country in the world. It's a #1 market for cars, right? #1 market for cars is China. They've only got 30% of the people in China who are middle class, can own something, can own houses and buy. Only 30%. 70% are working class, and that class is way down. These people will never leave China. Okay, they will forever be oppressed. The 70% of the nation, but 30%, that's 350 million people, is 30% of the Chinese population. Okay, that's more than the population of the United States, or they're about almost the same, is it? 350 million people, right, are just touring the world, living their lives. They're more than happy. They have all the money that they need. They're just going to go to Africa. Let's buy a few hectares Yeah, what are we going to do with it? Oh, I'm not sure. Let's plant some palm oil trees. Yeah, but they take years to develop. Yeah, it's okay. It'll be for the kids. The kids can come over and they'll take care of it. Let's plant the trees for them and let's just leave. Boom. That's what the Chinese are doing now. We need to learn from them. We need to learn from them. Not just ignore them and say, oh, they're taking over. Let's just learn from them. I keep saying that the Chinese are the best when it comes to taking care of racism because they have a lot of racism over here in Western Europe as well. But they deal with it differently. We, as Black people, we are emotionally invested in racism. We care way too much about what other races think of us, while the Chinese, they couldn't give that. You are absolutely irrelevant if you are not ethnically Chinese. If you are not ethnically Chinese, you don't exist to a Chinese person. You're a moving organism. They don't care about you. They don't care. They don't care what you think. You could be racist to a Chinese person. If you are not ethnically Chinese, that's it. Doesn't matter what you think. Doesn't matter what you say. You cannot offend me. Do you know why? Because you don't exist. That's the way they deal with it. And we could learn that from them. We need to be able to learn the best parts of everybody else's culture, take it in as well and assimilate it, just like what the Chinese did. Because that's what they're doing at this moment. You think they love white people? They don't. They like white culture. They like people who play pianos and all that sort of stuff. They'll take that. Oh yeah, you got that. Yeah, we're taking that. Thank you. Like that. They just take, and they keep it for themselves, and they assimilate it into their own society. Okay. And so at this moment, the upper class in Chinese society is simulating the upper class over in the West as well. More so in Europe, not in America, but in Europe, European culture. They love European culture, but they don't like white people. Does that sound very? That sounds yeah. It's very interesting because we get the same thing as well, don't we? We have a lot of people who love our culture. They love it, but they don't like us. All right. We'll have the culture, please, but without the Black people. No, just the culture. Like the Kardashians. Yeah, we'll take the bum. We'll take the men as well. Take the basketball players. We'll take those boobs. We'll take curvy bodies. We'll take all that. Okay. Just without the Black people. Thank you. Oh, yeah. The Chinese own a lot of things in the United States. We need to be able to use our resources, use what we have to better the lives of our children and our children's children and our children's children's children. We need to be able to focus on them and sacrifice ourselves. That's what they're doing. They are replicators, Shazzy. They are replicators, but they do it so well. They do it so well that they're winning. They're winning at this present moment. We need to learn from them. We need to learn from them. Because the Europeans took everything. They dominated the world for hundreds and hundreds of years. The Europeans have, and somehow the Chinese are turning that around, and that's not an easy thing to do. They knew they couldn't compete with the Europeans technology-wise, so they were just like, well, we just copy them. We copy them, and then we make it better. And that's what they've done. 5G. Every 5G tower in the United States, where is it made? They're all made by Huawei because they were the people that developed the technologies. So they're now becoming first in all these industries. It's something, like I said, we need to learn. We need to learn. And they will never be our allies. They will never be our allies. They're at the stage now where they just want to take. They don't need allies. The Chinese don't need allies. I don't know if you've noticed that. They have them in Russia, of course, and all the former communist countries as well. They do have allies there. But even their allies are wary of them. And Russia are in a position where they can play both sides of the coin, because half of their country is in Europe and the other half is in Asia. There are people who know the Chinese culture because they are ethnically Chinese living in Russia, because Russia is such a massive country. Let's have a look. Buying all the apartment, yeah, in downtown Lodge. It is Ros Roberts. That's what they're doing. They are just buying property. That's where they are pouring their money into, property. There's a place in England, in London, called Oxford Street. You want to go down there shopping, go down Oxford Street. Do you know who owns half of the buildings on half Oxford Street? It's not the Jews. It's not the Chinese either, or the Americans. It's the Norwegians. Can you believe that? The Norwegians, people from Norway, not Norwegian, the private people. I mean the actual government. They just set about buying all this stuff, buying all these properties in London, because the Norwegian government, which had a lot of oil money, just said, listen, let's spend it for the Norwegian people. Let's invest that money into some place. So they've bought all these properties over Paris and all over London and all over the world. They've just invested their money, this oil money, into that. Now, if you're an American and you were born, you get a debt put on your head, don't you? Because America is running a massive debt. So I'm not sure how much debt that gets put on your head. But as soon as your birth certificate is generated, bam, that debt is put right on your head. Whereas in Norway, they have the opposite effect. So when you are born in Norway and you're a Norwegian citizen, you're born in Norway, you are worth $100,000 straight away. You haven't even done anything. You're $100,000 richer because of the money that they put away. What's it called? It's some sort of fund that these countries do. Bahrain has done it as well. All these gas giants, the big countries, they've done this. They've just put money away for their populace. Russians were buying out London, but there isn't that many Russians in London. There are a lot of Russian billionaires in London and millionaires in London, but it doesn't make up, you got to remember, London is what, 9 million people. Yes, guns on guns. Almost everything says made in China, right? So anyway, I didn't want to come off the subject too much, but we need to be able to learn from these people and develop our tactics, develop our strategies based on the way other nations, other societies, other ethnicities have done the same thing, have done. We need to base it on that, and we need to stop talking about it. That's what I've done anyway. I talk about it, but I've actually put in things into action. There are some people inside the chat room who will know I've put things into action. I don't think of myself. I think of the future. So right now, I'm invested in buying land in the greater Lagos region, right? because I want to build a nice house or a nice apartment building or something in Greater Lagos, because that country and that city, by the time 2050, is it 2050? By the time 2050 rolls around, it will be the world's 12th richest country. I think it'll be 12 by 2050. No. Yeah, 12th. It'll be the 5th most populous country in the world. Okay. It will have an extremely strong economy by that time. And if you buy the land now and you start building now, you start getting things ready, your children can have something there for them, you know. Invest in Africa, guys. Invest in Africa. I can't believe I'm still going on 2 hours, 30 minutes, but I'm such enjoying this talk. It's much nicer when there's there's only 50 of us here. Shazaji, I remember when people's dogs were dropping dead in the US. Come to find out 90% of pet... What? Really? 90% of pet food is made in China, and they were adding to cut costs, and it was killing people's pets. Wow. Yeah. I mean, that is unsurprising, isn't it? No one's going to be surprised about that. Mr. Ugandan, right, Showtime. Let's stop talking about it and create a secret community. Talking on YouTube spills the beans from others. But the thing is, right, if we get the strategy right, we should be able to openly and publicly talk about it. If we get the strategy right. It's not like we don't know what the Chinese are doing. We know what they're doing. Right? We know what they're doing. So, and they know what they're doing. They know that they're just going to Africa and they are lending money, knowing that those African countries are going to default and then they're going to take their resources. We all know that. I bet you half of the politicians in these African countries, they already know it. They're like, oh yeah, you're going to give us that money? You know we're going to default, right? Yeah, we're going to default. Oh, fine, sweet, boom, boom, boom. They know they're going to default on the payment. Resources. They don't mind the Chinese coming in and taking their resources. They care about themselves. Most of these African politicians care about what apartment they're going to buy for one of their mistresses in Paris. That's what they're focused on. They don't care about the people in their countries. Swag Nation, my boss is from Lagos. Lagos is a crazy city. I've never been there, but I'd love to go. It's like black heaven. I love the people I love Nigerians. Honestly, guys, I know people are going to be like, oh, well, Nigerians. I love them. I think they're brilliant. These are the people I believe wholly that one day Nigeria as a country is going to run Africa. I believe that they're going to be like that country in that region that's just going to run everything. It is, Audrey Kemi. It is. I would love to go there one day. I'm definitely going to go. It is. You think Showtime? Well, it wasn't District 9 made in South Africa, right? Good movie. I might watch that tonight. I might give that a watch. District 9. It's a nice film. Nigerians can never run the whole of Africa. Never. They can't even handle insurgents in their own country. To an extent, that you might be right. To an extent. But you got to remember, they are changing. Okay? Nigeria is changing. It's growing. Its systems are getting better. Its power is getting better. It's a mercurial country. Okay? And they've got the resources. They have the money. It's, you know, they're the wealthiest country in Africa at this moment. They're building a high-speed rail line at this moment from Abuja to Lagos. You know, a proper high-speed rail line. Darth Sidiel. Show yourself. I just have a look at who is it? I want to put you on. Flash your face up. Let's have a look. Instead of working together, you know, that's the thing. Guns on guns. You're right there. Right there. Silvino Vaz. Let's have a look. Silvino. Who's that? Did you hear that? Okay. High-speed rail funded. Yep, it is. It is. But the problem that we're having with this Pan-Africa ADOS, where it's different, is that they can pay off that bill. Okay? Nigeria can pay off the bill that they use to finance this rail. Right? The Chinese think that they can come into Nigeria and start buggering around with them like they've done in Zambia. They've got another thing coming. Nigeria is a different kettle of fish, man. The Nigerian politicians are astute. You know, when it comes to money, that's it. They're going to have those Chinese, but they will pay that off. You know, they will pay that off. Nigeria, yeah. It has a massive potential. Massive potential, Nigeria has. Yeah. Yeah, that's true, Showtime. And this is why it's important to get into Nigeria now, because there are going to be many rich, Nigerians who will be moving back to Nigeria once it starts getting its act together with this banana island and everything. Once that gets built and everything, everyone's going to start moving back. I should go there and get citizenship with Dynast. Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know how he got his citizenship. I'm thinking about getting one of the citizenship of any of the ECOWAS countries would be good for me, but yeah. China CCP loans are not given to, yeah, well, they're not supposed to be. They're not supposed to be, are they? They tell them that in order so that people understand that they have this money given to them. But like I said, the Nigerians are a different kettle of fish. They can't be pushed over, can they? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there, because I don't believe that the Chinese can come in, start taking them. They know that the Chinese know that they're an oil-rich country. YouTube user Negropean, where did you get your intel on, folks? What didn't you see? It depends on which folks you're talking about. Depends on which folks you're talking about. If you're talking about my last video, then all you have to do is watch it, and you'll pretty much know where it comes from. I want no part of real government politics, but follow it closely. Don't knock it, okay? Politics are great to get into. Politics are great to get into. So if you have kids, make sure they take what is it? What do you need to get? Get a university degree in social studies or something like that. Get into politics afterwards. Yes, Shazaji. I was thinking about it. Yes. I was thinking about this. Get your Jamaican citizenship. Jamaican passport carries more clout in Africa than a British passport. That is true. That is very true. So I was considering that. As a move, because I can do that. The Jamaican embassy here in Switzerland, there's a young guy running it. So I looked at his picture on the internet. I was like, Who are you? Nepotism. Just some kid enjoying his life. I called him the one time. He's like, "Yo, what do you want?" I want to start sorting out my Jamaican citizenship. He's like, yeah. Wait a minute. I don't really have an office, you know. Good looking lad as well, man. He's just living his life. Living off the Jamaican taxpayer. But yeah, I'm going to definitely try that way for sure. Negropean Agent 007. Yes. Okay. I'm sure he did die. Who, Dynas what? What are you saying? That he paid for it? Are you saying that Dynas paid for his passport? Really? Hello, Bantu Queen. Really? Oh, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it now. Do I send it off to Jamaica, Shazaji? Do I need to send it to the embassy here? Because if all I need is my mother's birth certificate, I'm gonna do it tomorrow for sure. Oh, not tomorrow, because tomorrow's Sunday, but Monday for sure. Oh, we're gonna get into this anyway. So yeah, guys, getting back to the subject, we're going after somebody who is known for scamming people off their money. We're going to go after a real fraudster, and this guy is a hardcore fraudster as well. He's been around for a long time, and so I'm going to be going after him, but I just don't want to tell you guys more about it. I might tell. Give me 1 second, guys. Hello. Okay, guys, I have to leave it here. Okay, so I've got to say thank you for joining me tonight, guys. Really appreciate it. I had a video that was ready for tonight. I haven't finished editing it, but I'm going to post it tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to post it tomorrow. So it's going to be a really good video. So keep your eye open for it. Okay, guys, I've got to go. I've really got to go because I was supposed to be on for an hour. I've been on for 2 hours, 42 minutes. Okay, guys, take care. Think twice and Torah a bit, okay? Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Take care.